different grant opportunities and whatever. He brought the bomb dog, he brought the robot, you know, a tarantula and all of those. And he was in England for 6 weeks learning all about bombs over there. So he has a lot of experience, and for free he'd be willing to help.
I'll have to follow up with him, man, because I'm trying to think, and we have it consistently. Every time there's a job opening or somebody.
And we do the public speaking,
Toastmasters?
Yeah, but I do those for free for, we call it Speak Out. If you had any guys that want to learn how to do that, we can do something.
That's definitely something that we can always get practice with.
I know we started going to the Toastmasters just for just a couple meetings and we stopped going, but.
Yeah, the thing about Toastmasters, because I belong to them, I've been with them 89 years, is that it's very regimented. It doesn't get at exactly what you need because it doesn't teach you. All it gives you is an opportunity to practice. And practicing is good, but when they don't reinforce, because they're really gentle with you,
Right.
you know, they don't reinforce how you could improve in a nice way, you know. But you have to do that. I'm fixing to start doing a class with my patients, the patients in Spanish, because they want to learn how to speak out, you know, in Spanish, how to speak for themselves.
And then the other thing too is maybe just, I've always had, I know Alex is way more proficient than I am in speaking Spanish. And having, you know, presentations in Spanish, he's better than I am, but I'm always getting caught up in those words and this and that and the other, and I stutter a little bit.
But you know what, they're so grateful when people are trying, because the one thing I've always told is Hispanic folks that do not speak the languages fluently, you're bicultural. And we're not, you know, Raza will go to you, even if you don't speak it. The only time they won't go to you is if you're INS or Border Patrol, because they say the Mexicanos are the worst in either field.
That's all they hire, to be honest, that's all they hire nowadays.
Oh, I know, but you know what, I was going through a border stop, it was the second stop, I was by myself, I was in my suite. Y estaba un cuate ahí, parecía más mexicano que yo, you know that. And he goes, and I always will answer the question truthfully, I always do that. But you gotta ask me the right question. I am gonna give you more than you asked for, you know. And he said, where were you born? And I said, Mexico. And he looked at me and he just, you know, and I'm thinking he's going through all his
Gotta work.
And he's going through, and I'm going, I'm not helping you out there, you got this job. So I'm just sitting in my car, you know, just.
What's next?
Yeah, and he's just kinda like, and you know, he didn't ask any of his guys, I guess they weren't around. And then he says, you were naturalized. And I said, bingo, I'm glad you got it. Not that. But I mean, I always answered the question,
Right.
you know, but I wasn't gonna say, well, it's spelled in that, what, you're the one making your mind. Yeah, but no, you're right about the, you know, the interview business and whatever. I can send you a little proposal and see what you think about it.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to, I mean, this is for our membership, because we always wanna try to promote our membership as much as we can.
And for your mentees, those kids, they would.
That's good too.
Public speaking wouldn't hurt them. And
Oh, yeah.
especially if they get into those speech contests.
We've gotten basic stuff with them, I mean, because they're again the middle of the road kids that, you know, don't get that much attention. But just something as easy as, hey, speak to me, I'm across the room, I wanna be able to hear you from across the room.
Right, don't mumble.
Stand up and mumble that can be.
And shake your hand.
Right.
That's how basic we've gotten with those kids, but. I
That's
think
how basic you have to get.
we need to give them the elevator speech. And where you literally sell yourself in an elevator speech.
You introduce yourself and you tell them in 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
basically, the theory is you're supposed to introduce yourself, sell yourself to somebody in the time that you get on an elevator.
Oh, that's like, interesting.
And so, I've never practiced that with them.
Because I've had Shiloh in youth leadership in those speech classes since he was about 8 or 9. You know, and he's, as y'all know, he's quiet, he's not a auger, but, you know, we had him, but, yeah. Well, you remember the speech, y'all saw those at Northside?
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten over that guy with the instruments.
Oh, yeah, was it the instruments? No, the guy that was rude.
Oh, the
kid
guy
was
that hit Shiloh up that was rude, the autistic guy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Shiloh
yeah.
was pretty pissed at
Oh,
him for a
man.
while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wish they would have told us that before we started, because he was kind of rude and rude to the other kids too.
He was autistic.
Yeah. But I wish they would've told us that
That he was
before,
autistic?
so we could kinda say, okay, well, there's something different about him that we need to kinda be sensitive.
But you know, he came up to me after the whole thing and he said, I kinda liked you. And I'm going, you know, just like
You
that.
remember that, right?
He said, I kinda liked you and I hope to see you again. I said, yeah, I forgot what his name was, Ross or Edgar or something like that. No matter where
I think we have to
I
scoot down.
remember he was
Scoot down
very,
this
way?
Yeah, it's okay.
he was direct.
Oh,
You gotta see where our producer is.
So how's your guys' week been so far?
It's going good. We just left a community event right now at our headquarters for Citizens on Patrol.
Oh, nice. That's good, that's good.
So this is gonna go on YouTube and I'm
Uh,
assuming that's what that's for, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Didn't you have a camera in here that other time? Or were you doing it all
I
off
think
your
it's
phone?
this camera.
Oh, it's this one here, okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, my stomach's gonna start growling on the microphone.
We're live on
Live already?
it. Yeah, been live.
Saw a little red,
Doesn't even get a chance to edit it.
Yeah, like those.
You gotta get out here. Did you tell?
Yeah.
I know, bless you. No worries, you tell me what to kind of do. All right. He's the owner's son,
Okay.
the guy, Angelo.
Don't know where
And you need
Stuart's
to
at.
meet Sammy G, he's really good, you really, like I said, I can just see all of the podcast stuff. Handling some of those questions. My dog got out and he did this and that, oh, oops, you know.
It's a fun idea, but I can imagine the stuff that we would get.
Yeah, if you have people calling in, that would not be so good. Maybe if you presented, but the only way that you could really get an engagement would be for folks to call in, right? Or you could present an issue and then send it out on Facebook, see what people think about it.
Is Juan gonna be here?
Yeah, I don't know where he's at.
Okay.
Let's see if he texts me. If he
Let me
always-
slide you you two down because he's gonna need a little bit of room right there in the corner.
He usually texts me like a minute before he's to be here. He's already late.
He texted you?
I know I'm sitting and checking. Yep. I just will end up be there right about 1 o'clock, yep.
Oh,
There he
boy.
is.
Yeah,
What's up?
The main man is here.
Hey, good, how are you?
I'm fine, sir, how are you doing?
I have above ground, so it's a good day.
Yes.
What's up, sir? How you doing?
Yes, sir.
How are you today?
I have above ground, it's a great day.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Yeah, it's a great, how are you? I am Juan, how you guys?
What's going on, sir? How you doing?
Yeah, no,
Looks like you got your lottery done.
yeah, I did, that was a great video, man, I liked it.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
but she still liked it too, she really liked it.
Oh,
Yeah, I get my glasses.
I remember,
You guys are gonna probably agree about this close.
Okay.
ask her bringing the microphones close and talk loud. And with those questions, y'all can elaborate, just
Sure.
go, don't feel like you got a yes, no, not on the witness stand, just, you're on your own turf here, y'all are. We're so blessed to have you.
No pasa nada.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, and I have a flash drive, so we can record the session, if that's okay with you.
Definitely.
I told my brother that whenever he has a Christmas party, a good contest is opening up packages. Time, how long it takes
How long it
people
takes.
to open up a package.
Yeah, especially if they got that reinforced plastic, they're pretty hard.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna get y'all started, and I'm gonna step out, try to see where Trey is.
Okay.
Need to do a mic test.
I checked them,
Oh,
they should
okay.
already be good, yeah.
Okay. I think you go ahead,
That's what experience will do for you.
Because I'm in there with Casey, so I gotta get him started too, and I just had to get this guy over here across the way.
So about 1:30, we'll take a break, correct?
We'll all come in. If no one's here by then, I'll come in by, a little bit ahead of time, so that way we can take a break. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Online.
Thank you for tuning in to listen to our broadcast, Eagle Club Network. We are the future emerging and aspiring global leaders and entrepreneurs from the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas Metroplex, who are a part of the Future Leaders Outreach Network. Pursuing your dreams, Eagle Club Project.
The program, supported by the Family Youth Services Bureau, is developed to teach evidence-based teen pregnancy prevention curriculum that teaches middle and high school students to set boundaries from drugs, alcohol, violence, bullying, and all premature sexual activity. Also, parents and other adults can attend our Parent Involvement Network workshops.
We thought you ought to know.
Our slogan is leaders are like eagles soaring to reach the top. So grab a pad and pen and be ready to write down some valuable practical principles and promising practices that would encourage, empower, cultivate, and motivate you to soar like an eagle to the top of the summit, the highest point to reach.
We thought you ought to know. And now, the Eagle Club Network broadcast.
We are back. This is When Eagles Talk, the weekly radio broadcast and podcast here on the Fishbowl Radio Network, put on by Future Leaders Outreach Network. It is another glorious Saturday afternoon, and we are humbly grateful to be a part of it. I'm going to go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way. I want to say hello to and acknowledge our executive director, Dr. Diana Clemens. It is her vision that brought this broadcast and podcast about, and it is her continued support, along with the support from the financial support from the Family Youth Services Bureau, that keeps it on the air. I want to say hello to and acknowledge the co-founder of Future Leaders Outreach Network, Ms. Njeri Shamari, and I want to acknowledge the Future Leaders Outreach Network Board of Directors and staff there in the Kansas City area, and I want to say hello to and acknowledge the Future Leaders Outreach Network staff here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. For those who may not know, Future Leaders Outreach Network, we are a nonprofit. We have been in business over 20 years. Our mission really is to uplift and empower young people and to bring support to their families so that those young people can be the best future version of themselves possible. The name of the show, as you may have heard earlier, is When Eagles Talk, and EAGLES is an acronym for Emerging and Aspiring Global Leaders and Entrepreneurs Soaring. And we absolutely, positively, definitely have such an individual on the other end of the table. How you doing, Shiloh?
I'm doing great, Mr. Stewart. How are you today?
I am above ground, so it is a good day. No complaints.
No complaints.
How was school this week?
It was real good. Got a lot of stuff done. Finals are coming soon, so just pray I can end off strong and everything will be set.
I am praying, but I am confident that you will continue down the path that you have chosen. Shiloh was on the part of the dean's list recently, so he is continuing to excel as he grows, and it has just been a pleasure for me and for us to watch. He is proof that if you have some support, the sky is truly the limit. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce our guest today, Shiloh.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Hello, everyone. We are very honored and privileged to introduce to you our two special guests joining us today, Officers Nestor Martinez and Alexandra Lopez. They are part of the Fort Worth Police Department, and today they are going to be sharing with us a little bit about their journey, their experiences as police officers and just their overall role with the community, and I am very excited to hear it. So without further ado, will you guys please introduce yourself to our listening audience?
Yes, my name is Alexander Lopez. I work for the Fort Worth Police Department. I'm currently assigned to the Community Engagement Unit.
And my name is Nestor Martinez. I'm also Fort Worth Police Department, been on the department for 25 years this year, and I'm assigned to the Community Engagement Unit.
Nice. You just answered one of my questions. So I'm asking how long you've been.
Nice.
25 years.
Right.
14 years here only.
Nice. So can you guys maybe share with us what made you want to get involved with the police department in the first place?
I would say my personal story, why I became a police officer was kind of a funny deal. Is I went to the movie theater one time with my dad when I was young, and we saw the movie James Bond GoldenEye. And for some reason, there'd be a secret agent from then. And after seeing that movie, I was like, that's probably really not doable. So what else could I do, right? And seeing the TV show Cops, when I grew up, I thought it was so cool. Just going out there, helping people out, chasing people, and whatnot. And I put myself to the academy, and now I'm here, 14 years later as a police officer for the Fort Worth Police Department.
Nice.
Mine's a little bit different. It started way back when I was in elementary school. I remember a DARE officer. The DARE program was real hot and heavy back in the day when we were kids, and he would come to the school, do push-ups with us, and all sorts of physical activities with us. And I remember when I was like, he looks like me. He was a Hispanic guy. And I hadn't seen that before, and I think that's what kind of triggered everything to go on my end. And I went to the military. When I got back from the military, I knew I needed a job, so I signed up for the police and fire department at the same time. The police called me back first, and I've been here.
Yeah, it's funny. Because I did watch GoldenEye. In fact, I think I watched GoldenEye a couple of weeks ago. So,
Yeah, it's a good movie.
So it's a good movie. And I actually, because I was a military MP and a federal police officer.
First became a part of the police department, like what were some of your goals that you had in mind when you first joined?
One of my, first goals was number one to become a police officer, right? The training, the academy that Fort Worth holds is very, it's difficult, right? I mean, you earn it. It's not just given to you. At the end of the day, our Fort Worth Police Department has a numerous vast amount of specialized units, from K9 to helicopter to motorcycle to bike unit to mounted to, you name it, we have it out there. Really, I'll just kind of take it one day at a time. I've had the privilege, obviously, to everybody works patrol first, right? When they become a police officer, worked that for a little bit. Then after a while, after I did that, I went to become a school resource officer for about almost 4 years at a high school in Fort Worth. That was very interesting. It was a different type of policing, obviously, right? It's not like on the street where you're out there chasing people and doing this and that. It's a totally different type of community policing, I'd say, where you can actually talk and mentor to the youth, right? Because sometimes people have certain stereotypes about police officers, but they can see on a daily basis, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. So you're actually able to inspire them, mentor them, give them advice, and it was kind of very cool to kind of just see them come to you and talk to you. And we never had anything going on in life at home or anything. They'd come talk, hey, Officer Lucas, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So I was able to give them, some type of advice that I wish I would have had when I was, their age. So I did that for a bit, and then for a little over 2 years now, I've been assigned to the Community Engagement Unit, and it's been great.
Nice.
I always knew that, I wanted to do something to help people. I just, when I was younger, I didn't know what exactly that was. Went into the military. Like I said, I came back. I was actually a medic in the military, so I was working in a hospital or whatnot. But when I came back, that's why I took that step to do both, right? Whichever one called me first, that's where I would go. Coming back, once I graduated the academy, got in, they put me in the street as a police officer in South Division, which is predominantly Hispanic. And so that's when we were pretty hot and heavy with the neighborhood police officer program. And I was one of the only ones that spoke Spanish in that division at that particular time. And back then we didn't have too many interviews. If you had a lieutenant that said, hey, you're good for this, you're gonna do it. And so that's kind of what he pulled me aside. He goes, do you speak Spanish? And I was like, yeah. He goes, okay, you're getting this beat. which is now in the Fort Worth area, in the 4200 block of South Freeway, which is the Grand Plaza area. And it's
Okay,
it's really busy and stuff, and most of the folks that live in that community are Spanish speaking, so that's why he put me there. Worked South Division for a while, came to Northwest where I was, born and raised, closer to Northside area of Fort Worth. I always knew I wanted to be there, but when we start, you get a lot of stuff that your training officers kind of put you through and stuff, and the first thing they tell you is never go back to the neighborhood where you grew up, because you're gonna have a lot of problems, you're gonna have relatives you're gonna have to put in jail, and all sorts of stuff like that. I took that advice, but unfortunately I wish I wouldn't have, right? I wish I would have came back to the neighborhood immediately as soon as I got my badge and gun and helped out in my community. I think that would have been better for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Shell, but I've never understood why they didn't want to send police officers back to the, I understand that the potential for corruption, I understand that. But beside that, originally, that's how crime was diminished, because police officers were purposely put in the neighborhoods that they were familiar with. So, so Mrs. Jones or Mr. Blah Blah, or even the kid that might get in trouble, if he saw Officer so-and-so come down the street, he would think twice, you know what I'm saying? Because he knew his mother, he knew his folks, he was part of the neighborhood. And really, that, to me, that helps. Like I said, I understand the whole Chicago mob thing and the corruption and all that, but I think we've thrown the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, and I think it's something that comes with time too, and maturity as well in your profession. That's not gonna happen. You're not gonna have to throw your relatives in jail or your friends from school in jail or whatnot. But that's one of the things that we try to implement into our new officers now, where we take them out to our communities and show them what our communities are all about, and then we tell them, hey, this is where you get legitimacy almost instantly, because people here, family members, the neighborhoods, the streets, you have familiarity with the young kids that are in school that sat in the same place you did. So it's a tool that we utilize now, and
I'm glad to see it.
we're seeing the results. There are better results in our police department in our city.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. So, what are the basic requirements to become a police officer? I know physically you'd have to be real tough, but do you have to take a exam, or how does that work?
Normally, it's about a 4 to 6 month process. First off is they'll make an announcement. It's usually 2 times a year. They'll announce it on the internet saying, hey, civil service test coming up, right? Civil service test will consist of basic algebra, math, reading, comprehension, things like that, right? So you have to pass that. I believe it's a 70. I believe it's from 70 to 100, right? The higher you score, the quicker you'll go through the process. So you take a civil service test, you pass that test, then you go take a physical test. I think they changed it now. It's sit-ups, push-ups, 1.5 mile run. I think a 300-meter run or shuttle run, they call it, I believe that. So you pass that, so you pass the civil service test, you pass the physical test. After that, you end up doing a background check, and they go through your whole life history. They're gonna ask you so many questions that you probably were gonna be like, oh man, I don't know if I wanna say this or not, right?
Right.
So they'll ask you all these questions, and then after that, you'll be assigned a background investigator, right? They'll double check, triple check everything. You pass your background, then you go do a polygraph test, right? And if you have never done a polygraph test, I don't care, what people think. I mean, you're gonna be nervous, right? So they want to check, if you're being deceptive or not. Because the main thing about being a police officer, right, is your integrity. Being a man of your word, doing the right thing when no one's looking. So we want to make sure that, we hire the best people out there, right? Because you're giving us, a gun, a badge, you're giving us the authority to take people's rights away. So we want to make sure that we're giving it to the right people. So you pass the polygraph test, and then you go to an oral board, right? Which is usually 4 to 6, 7 people, from officer level to maybe sergeants, different things like that, where they're going to ask you questions, scenario-based questions, as far as hey, you're a police officer, you encounter this, so what do you do, right? A lot of it is not necessarily pass or fail, but we want to gauge what kind of mindset you have, right? Your morals, your ethics, and your values. After you do that, if you pass the oral board, then you have 2 last things to do, which is your psych. You go see a psychiatrist, and they ask you a bunch of questions to see if you're mentally fit to become a police officer. If you pass that, then you go take a medical test, which is like a stress test. They put you on a treadmill, and they have a mask to make sure your heart condition's good, I mean, they check, you know, your sit-ups, your push-ups, your waist size, your vision, your hearing, your breathing. I mean, there's so many different things. They want to make sure that, you know, you're physically capable of doing the job. Not only the job at the end of the day, but also you're able to, I guess, pass the academy, right? Because when you go to the academy, it's you work that every day. So it's about a 4 to 6 month process. Like I said, then you go to the academy. Our academy is about, I believe, 8, 9 months long, I believe nowadays. So it's, you know, you don't live there, but it's usually Monday through Friday, like 6 a.m. to like 4 or 5 p.m. And you're living and breathing, just, you know, working out, laws and different things like that. So it's a long road. Then after you pass that, the academy, then you get, you know, you go to field training. You get assigned a field training officer. You usually have about 4 or 5 officers. They train you for about 4 or 5 months. And then once you pass that, then you're basically on solo status. You're able to take calls on your own and, you know, be a police officer that you want to be.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot of things to do, and you know, if you're willing to make that commitment, you know, you're gonna have to put in a lot of work for sure, based on what you described. So when they're training you, like you were saying, they give you different scenarios on how to conduct yourself when going out into the public and just things like that. How do you guys? How do they tell you how to act when you're, I guess, doing a traffic stop with someone? How does that operate?
Well, I mean, everybody has their own style or whatnot. You know, if you get stopped by a motorcycle officer, you're probably gonna get a ticket no matter how nice you are. Those guys ride their moms sometimes, okay. But everything that we try to push out there in our new recruitment classes and is treat everybody with respect and treat everybody like they're literally a loved one, a grandmother, a mother, that you want to kind of make sure that they feel safe, that they feel respected, and that you get your point across that you're doing your job. You're doing your job and you're keeping them safe in some form or fashion. And that's what we try to express to the new officers that are coming on the street.
And a lot of that stuff, just piggyback off what Nestor was saying, a lot of that stuff's gonna come with training and experience, right? Just because you graduate from the academy doesn't mean that, all right, you know it all, you know how to solve every situation, good to go, right? No, I mean, a lot of it's gonna come, like I said, just training experience, and, you know, we're gonna make mistakes, right? You're like, man, you know what? I didn't like the way I did this, or I handled this, and you learn from that. So a lot of it, like I said, and you learn from other officers, from veteran officers, like, you know, I've been doing this 14 years, like, we can all learn from each other. I don't care if you're a 1-year officer or a 30-year vet, like, we can all learn something from each other. So I think, in my opinion, the day you stop learning this profession is the day you probably have to leave, you know, because, I mean, the laws are changing constantly, policies, procedures, and the world's changing, so we have to learn to adapt to that.
Right.
The other thing with that is too, that you get different aspects of doing the job from different people. That last 3 months when you're in uniform and you're out there in the streets with the training officers, each one of them is, you know, different aspects of experience, different cultures, different ways of doing business, and you get to learn that from them. And that's critiqued. That's critiqued if we have an officer that can't communicate properly, for example. They get noted down, and we have to work on that in their training and stuff. So by the time you're done with that training, you should be pretty good as far as, you know, people skills and just safety and all the things that are necessary to do our job.
Nice. So, is there any particular moment of your guys' career thus far that you maybe thought was pretty profound in a sense, or anything?
Like an impactful, life-changing type thing?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I've been involved in several critical incidents. And when we say critical incidents, you know, they're shootings or other officers that are involved in shootings or whatnot, and those are pretty impactful. I went through my first one probably about 3-4 years into my career. And then after that, what I've done and what I've learned to do is help other officers through those type of situations. I'm part of our union board and our peer representatives that go out there and help officers, and so I'm able to guide them through that process when stuff like that does happen, because you see it on the news immediately, but is an officer prepared to, you know, see himself or herself on the news that evening, and how are they gonna explain that to their kids and whatnot? So there's a lot of things that go into those type of incidents, and that's what I've learned to kind of help other officers through that and make sure that they're okay, they're doing their job, If you're doing your job properly, then you're gonna get through it. It's just, times are tough, social media is out there. Social media is a judge and jury at that particular time, and it's kind of hard to get past that. But getting your family to understand that and getting those officers to understand that it's a process you're gonna have to go through. And helping them is what I've been able to do.
Right. And, like Alex was saying earlier, a lot of people form different stereotypes about police officers. And to that point, what would you guys say is a common stereotype that you kind of hear or come across, and how do you think that can be changed?
That we eat donuts all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Donuts are good, but I don't really eat them. I think what I like to usually say when I, being in community engagement is I like, my saying is I like to humanize the badge, right? A lot of people, will say, people think that a police officer is like a RoboCop, right? That we're just, boom, boom, they do as I say, boom, 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 whatever. No, like, we're humans too. We have feelings too. We have the same issues, pains, issues at home, work, family, or anything like that. So what I try to come across is I try to show empathy when I talk to people, and just let them know, hey, look, I'm with you. And it's surprising how, being in this role now, when we go out there and talk to people, citizens and businesses, churches, schools, and different things like that, after you talk to them, they're like, you know what, you're a cool dude, you're like a regular person. I'm like, yeah, just, hey, I have a job to do that a lot of people don't like to do, but unfortunately I have to do it. But at the end of the day, look, I like the same stuff you like to do. I like to do this, I like to do that. So my main thing is I try to humanize the badge. That way people know that we're humans too. We're not, at the end of the day, there's a heart behind the badge that we carry, over our heart. And we're just like everybody's susceptible to issues in life. We're no different than that.
Yeah, I'll share the same thing. And people, a robot's not who we are, right? We have feelings, we have emotions, we have, families just like everybody else, and we're doing a job ultimately, but that job is not dictated by us. There's those laws are put into place by, the government, your senators, your congressmen, or anything like that. We're just following that. Those things can change, but we have to adapt to it. We're just doing it for that particular time when it's there. But yeah, getting to know that and letting people understand that, hey, one thing that I'm real great at doing and that I love doing is getting back to those kids and youth, right? The youth that are in the schools that their eyes open wide whenever I tell them, hey, I sat in this classroom just like you did in this particular school. And so that just opens up that dialogue immediately, and now you have commonality with them. And you're able to touch on issues that they have going on at home, whether it's, anything that's problematic to a family dynamic. You can relate to that, and sometimes it helps them get through things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, in regards to the police department, I know there's like different hierarchies or levels where you become an officer and then the sergeant and then all the way to the captain. How hard is it to go through those different stages, would you guys say, in general?
So I'll tell you exactly our hierarchy. Basically, you have officer level, you have corporal/detective, you have sergeant, lieutenant, captain, commander, deputy chief, assistant chief, and then you have chief of police, right? So obviously, everybody becomes a police officer from the get-go, right? You graduate the academy, you're a police officer. I believe it's after 4 years of becoming a police officer right now, you're able to test to become a corporal/detective, right? So you can have anywhere between 250, 300 plus people taking this test to become a corporal for maybe like 20 positions, 25 positions. So it's very competitive. Same thing once you grow to corporal, then you do that for at least, I believe it's 3 years now. Then you're eligible to take the test to become a sergeant, right? And then same thing, you may have 50, 100 people, corporals taking that test to become a sergeant, and it's based on what you score, right? It's based on what you score, how long you've been in that position. If you're a veteran, you get extra points, stuff like that. So you test all the way from corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, and then captain. And then all the other positions like the 1-star commander, 2-star deputy chief, 3-star assistant chief, those are all appointed positions, appointed by the chief of police.
Okay, nice. Gotcha. I will turn it over to you, Mr. Stewart.
Okay, I know you guys mentioned earlier the process that you go through and how lengthy it is. What percentage of applicants would you say get caught up with the psych or fail the psych portion of this training, of the applicant process? I mean,
I'm not sure what the exact numbers are, but I think where we get our most people that per se get caught up and drop out or whatever is when they realize that this job takes a certain type of stress out in the streets. And so, I mean, we've had folks that got in uniform, did it for a couple days, and they said, I'm out. I can't do this. So, just because our psychological process is in place doesn't mean that that's what's getting people out of it, right? That's not why they're dropping out. They're dropping out because once they see what they have to do on a daily basis, that's just too stressful, or it's just too much, and it's just not for them. But I don't think our psychological process is more geared of personality identification. Are you capable of having empathy? Are you capable of making decisions under high stress situations? Are you capable of implementing the law? Those are the things that our psychological process is more geared to, not necessarily to weed people out,
Okay.
per se.
Okay. Well, you mentioned personality. Are there, just for any young people that might be interested in becoming officers, and I hope that young people that are watching are interested, are there certain personality types that do better at becoming an officer than others?
I would think, no, there's not a specific personality. Every police department, you have different officers from all walks of life, different mindsets, different thoughts, I'm from one extreme to another. So I personally think it's not a specific, you have to think this way or be this way in order to be a good cop or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that's, it's not a cookie cutter type of personality. I think everybody brings something to the table when it comes to our profession. We've seen over time that life experience is very well suited for what we do as police officers. Being in the public, having that outgoing personality, or just having some kind of life experience helps you. Family dynamic, that helps. I had 3 brothers and I was always fighting with them, but that helped me out in the street too, right? So I mean, there's no cookie cutter solution to that or mold of a person that's going to be a police officer. It's just too vast.
I know, and this will be my last one, but for now. But I know that I went to the Federal Police Officer Academy because I was a federal police officer, and our academy was in Glencoe, Georgia, and they had this class called Interpersonal Communications, and in that class, you were allowed to say whatever you wanted to whomever you wanted to say it to, because I guess the point of the class was to see how you would handle someone really verbally disrespecting you, how you would handle a heightened situation. So yeah, people called each other racial names, they did all kinds of things in this class. I would think that most of them were sincere because they just got a chance to say what was on their mind. But how critical would you say it is, knowing, with your years of experience, to be able to know that you're going to walk into situations where you're going to have to turn the other cheek, so to speak,
Obviously, we'll say as law enforcement, right, we're held to a higher standard, right? There's days that people love us and thank us, and there's days that they don't like us or anything like that. But at the end of the day, we don't come here for the fame or glory. We don't come here to say, hey, look at me. We come here to, at the end of the day, protect and serve, right?
Yes.
Fellow mankind. It just boils down to just, caring for one another. I guess that's a good question.
Yeah, just again, it's just what do you have internally that's gonna push you and drive you to do the right thing. Whether it's your family, whether it's your upbringing, whether it's your desire to improve your community, your desire to just improve your fellow man or youth or whatever it is, right? That kind of holds weight in longevity. How long can you do that?
Yeah.
Some people get tired of it and they're off looking into something else in a different career field. Like I said, I've been lucky enough to have been doing this for 25 years, and it seemed like it went by real quick. Having a good support system and mental wellness is a topic now, right, in every profession. And so we're trying to figure out how to do that internally as well too, to help our officers get through those hard times and those critical incidents that they might not have seen anywhere else. So it's becoming more of a topic of discussion and a way of solution to get those folks through that long haul, right? Because it can take a toll on you, that's for sure.
And I think one of the biggest things too is that as a police officer, as you go, your years of service, you learn to try not to take things too personal, right? Because sometimes, you're dealing with people at their worst many times, right? I mean, it's not, it's not your fault, it's not their fault, just life happens. So at the end of the day, we have a job to do, and I'm not here to, they can yell at me, berate me, cuss me out or whatever, but at the end of the day, I can see them the next day, I'm like, how you doing, sir? I'm not gonna take it personal at all.
I think that's the key to life. We're going to take a break, but I do share that with kids in the schools that we teach in. Is that one, you really, in life, whether you're an officer or not, you really don't have any control over the things people say to you or what they do. You only have control in how you respond to it.
Correct.
Exactly. So not taking things personal is a invaluable communication tool, because if you're offended, then I feel that I'm going to be on defense, and it becomes a sporting contest. We're no longer communicating.
Correct.
It's offense against defense. So it is just in life, just learning not to take things personal is a valuable tool in any walk of life, and especially in yours, where like you said, you're in a position that you might have to limit or take away someone's rights in a situation.
Correct.
Yeah. We're going to take a small break. We will be right back. This is When Eagles Talk here on the Fishbowl Radio Network.
Y'all are doing great.
Yeah,
Be sure and ask them, Shiloh, please, about community engagement, their unit, because it's a new unit where they're doing a lot of fun things out there with the community.
We'll talk, also want to talk with the cadets, the pals, all that such stuff.
Yeah, bring.
What about our other units that we have, like our police athletic league?
Oh,
We
yeah.
talked about our
yeah.
cadet program, interns, college interns.
Oh yeah.
What else?
Yeah, please.
Explorers program that we have, so I definitely want to highlight those.
Would y'all like some water?
I'll take some.
Okay.
And then you carry the cold blue stuff that we got.
No, I might have one.
I just want to write down. Explorer. Cadet. Pal. Cook.
Adult ones.
Oh, here we go.
Our CPA as well.
Our law enforcement folks.
Oh, yeah. And then student class. It's at South Hills and Eastern Hills, right? Come on, so just to talk about it. Claude Libby is just sitting on patrol with us. So what do you got to what another?
About another 20 minutes.
Will you be able to send us the link immediately?
Yes. Yeah.
How are we doing on the audio? Does it sound okay, or
I think it does.
too close?
Yeah. About 4 fingers away from the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Especially in today's environment where
Yeah, the executive director of the show
I'm
pays
not
for
ever
it.
going to,
I think about $50 a week. Yeah. There's nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Shiloh, did you want some more water?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
I'll get you one anyway.
Yeah, some of the stuff we're talking about is like our youth programs, our adult programs, like our clergy, PAC,
30 seconds.
police athletic league, our youth programs.
Police and Clergy Coalition.
Yeah, I'll talk about all the stuff, how the explores on,
And just so you know, I didn't get the water from the faucet. I was hearing that people from ICE, well, they're not from ICE, but they were in the Dilly Detention Center talking about how horrible the water is.
3, 2.
We are back. This is When Eagles Talk, the weekly radio broadcast and podcast here on the Fishbowl Radio Network, put on by Future Leaders Outreach Network. For those who may be just joining us or otherwise don't know, Future Leaders Outreach Network, we are a nonprofit. We are headquartered in Kansas, in the Kansas City area, and we have a satellite office here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Our mission is to uplift and empower young people and to support their families in that process so that they can become the best, both current and future versions of themselves that they can achieve. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and the young man at the other end of the table has been working with us and been in our workshops for a long time. And again, he is just an example of what a young person can do when they're focused and they have some support. Shiloh, go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and let you take over and keep interviewing our guests.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. So to start back off, I know you guys have different community programs within the Fort Worth PD organization. Can you guys speak a little bit about what those programs entail?
Sure, I'll touch on quite a few that we have. The first one's gonna be the Explorers Program, which I'm an advisor for that program. What it means is we meet up once a week at our headquarters at 505 West Felix on Mondays from 6 to 9 p.m. It's for individuals that are 9th grade, like 14 years old, all the way to 21. And it's kind of like a mini police academy. So we're teaching them kind of the insider secrets or trades of how to become police officers, as far as like how to conduct a traffic stop, a felony stop, how to conduct a like an investigation, like domestic violence investigation, how to do takedowns, right? How to handcuff people, how to use baton strikes, how to use the radio. So similar what you would do in a regular police academy, but just a little more condensed and a little more simplified. It kind of opens a door for people that, kids that may have an aspiration to become a police officer when they get to that age. So it kind of puts their foot in the door. So that's a Police Explorers program. We usually take open registration July and August year round. So right now we're about to be May. So all of July and August, if you guys are interested in that, make sure you go to our police website, police on Google. Just Google that and it's just going to pop up Explorers Program and you'll be able to see exactly how to register for that. Then we also have our cadet program, which usually is between the years of 18 years old to 26. These are for people that are currently in school, in college, and they come work as like an intern for the police department. I believe it's about 15 hours or 20 hours a week. And that student gets assigned to a specialized unit. They may go work with like robbery, gun violence, crime scene, homicide, records, the jail. So they'll kind of get the inside scoop of, how they do things behind the scenes. You're not doing police work, of course, it's more administrative stuff, but you work hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with detectives and different officers in those specialized units. And also if you're a cadet, what we call them, and you do end up taking our civil service test to become a police officer, I believe you get like 1 extra point added to your score. Every point counts nowadays. Then we also have our Police Athletic League, our PAL program, which consists of soccer, basketball, wrestling, track, among other things, and that's a year-round sports, and it's completely free membership, if I'm correct. It's a nonprofit organization. We get a bunch of donations. So if you have a child that's interested, I think we start from the ages of like maybe 5 or 6, like soccer, and then all the way up to like high school age, basically. So it's just an extracurricular activity that we can provide to our citizens. That way, instead of being, on YouTube, on Facebook, at the house, playing video games, get them outside their house, get them exposed, to meet other people. We also have our Code Blue program, which is Citizens on Patrol. So if someone, if you're part of a neighborhood association or, really take pride in your neighborhood and you want to like, we'll say, you know, you see something, say something where you can be a part of this police program, that it's like a 1 or 2 day training that we put you under. And, you know, we give you like a shirt and a hat, stickers or magnets you can put on your car. And it's basically just an extra eyes and ears out in the streets that you drive around. We give you a radio that you can contact an officer and say, hey, look, like an abandoned vehicle here, or, you know, if someone sees some type of suspicious activity that, you know, maybe something doesn't seem right, then, you know, they can contact us. So it's just extra eyes and ears out for the police department. We also have our Citizens Police Academy in English and in Spanish. We currently have the Spanish one going on right now. Usually about 6 to 8 weeks, I believe, they last, and those are pretty much year round. We do the Spanish one once a year, and the English one, I believe, for English speakers, I believe that's twice a year, if I'm sure you're right. Another thing we also have is our law enforcement class, which we currently partnered up with South Hills High School and Eastern Hills High School, and they come to our headquarters twice a week. We bus them from their school to our headquarters, and they're there for how long? How many hours are they there usually?
They're there usually for about 3 hours, and in that program, actually, I think it just came out that they will be getting college credit for the courses that they take with us. So if they want to do advance into something law enforcement related, they'll be able to get that coming out of our course. And that's actually something that just happened this year. I don't know if it's actually implemented yet, but we're going to go ahead and get the approval on that. And that's in our facility. We got officers that are the teachers, and they teach, you know, basic law enforcement curriculum that goes into the course itself. And so they teach that in-house, and then we send them back to the school, just like any other vocational class for any other schools.
And then we also have what I mentioned this last one, PAC, which is our Police and Clergy Coalition. So we have from all walks of faith, we'll say, from any religion you can think of. We just had training earlier this week, Monday and Tuesday training, 2 full day long training where we taught pastors, preachers, reverends, you name it, from everywhere. So what their main purpose is in the police department is, in the event of a critical incident, whether it's an officer involved or, you know, death of a loved one or something like that, these volunteers, these clergymen, clergywomen, they'll come out on their own time without getting paid to console, to talk to individuals that are in dire need of maybe, you know, spiritual help, mental health, things of that nature. So without them, we can't do this. So we have a lot of programs, and I'm maybe missing 1 or 2 more, but those are our top ones that our the current department offers. And we're always, you know, if there's other things that maybe other ideas that citizens, you know, would like to see, we're all ears.
Nice. So, quick question for you guys is, I know there's a code or a term in the police force, I think it's code red, where you have to deal with a life or death situation where there's an active shooter of some kind in the area. Have you guys ever personally experienced a situation like that, or if you did, how would you respond to that in a way to where you make sure that first of all you're safe, and also that you're getting others to safety as well?
I don't know if we've ever called it code red or anything, but situations can escalate from a simple traffic stop, can go into something pretty bad, pretty quick. We don't have anything standardized to address things like that. We just revert back to our official training. What we get trained in the academy, how we get trained in, you know, identifying threats, de-escalating situations. That goes all back to our training. We just have to implement it in that particular situation, no matter what it is. And we utilize our assistants, our help, you know, other officers that can come to the scene and help you out. For the most part, we're pretty good at, you know, watching each other's back and making sure that we're at least on the radio and knowing where each other's at during shifts or whatnot. But just utilizing, again, reverting back to our training that we get hammered on consistently in our academy, that it's almost like muscle memory, right? The more you learn it, the more you practice it, the more you revert back to it in stressful situations. And so that's what we kind of go for whenever those situations do come up, those code red situations.
And just to piggyback off that, like he had mentioned, you had mentioned about active shooter type stuff. Obviously the first person that's gonna respond to any type of active shooter is gonna be your patrol officer, correct? But obviously we have different specialized units such as SWAT, such as direct response unit. Those guys, of course, have a lot bigger, heavier tools, right? In the event that they need to be used, that, we would ask for their help.
Nice. You just want to say something, Mr. Sawyer?
I was just, actually, Officer Martinez, you answered one of my questions, kinda, but you mentioned a traffic stop versus a felony stop. I just feel like, that maybe even any adults listening might wanna know what the difference is, because I know that from my experience, a lot of people make traffic stops worse than they have to be. And maybe out of fear, maybe out of fear of the police or something, but a lot of people, make traffic stops worse. So what is the basic difference in you, pulling someone over? How would you know whether it was a traffic stop versus a felony stop?
There's different terminologies that we hear out in public, right? We don't necessarily use them, because again, a routine traffic stop is not always routine. So we don't try to put ourselves in that hole per se, but identifying a traffic stop initially is for a violation, an on-view violation that the officer sees, whether it's running a red light, whether it's speeding, no indicator or something like that. Those are the basic traffic violation stops that we're used to seeing, that we categorize as routine traffic stops, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean they'll end like that, but that's what we go for. Felony stops are usually when the officers are aware, or something has perceived or made that situation into a high-risk situation. Whether it's a stolen vehicle that, the occupants will run and they'll keep driving, or whether it's a DWI vehicle that somebody's impaired in that vehicle. So that puts that risk up at a higher place where your alertness, your awareness, and your ability to handle that situation goes up. So again, it goes back to our training. And we have tools all over the place, right? But how do you implement every single tool into the correct situation? It's not that easy.
I want to give it back to Shiloh. We got time for a couple more questions, but would you have any advice for an adult that's going through a traffic stop? Because like I said, in my experience, I think a lot of people.
Right, yeah, traffic stops, obviously, they happen, probably tens of thousands happening right now. At the end of the day, there's a thing that officers are trained as a 7-step violator, right? Which usually means is the officer pulls you over, he's gonna identify himself, what his name is. Like I would say, hey, my name is Officer Lopez, Fort Worth Police Department. The reason you're stopped today is because you ran the red light at this intersection or whatnot, right? Then I'm gonna ask you for your driver's license and your proof of insurance, right? Ask you, hey, you still live at this address, everything's good, cool, all right. I'm gonna go back to my vehicle, right? And I'm gonna run the person's information, right? To make sure they have a valid driver's license, make sure they don't have any crazy warrants or anything like that. And obviously when it comes to the officer, it's up to the officer's discretion if the person is gonna receive a citation or receive a warning, right? I know, lots of people think, well, you got a quota. No, we don't have quotas, right? It's illegal to have that, so that's not gonna happen. But at the end of the day, the officer should treat you with dignity and respect, right? But if the person, for some reason, feels that they were disrespected or talked down to or anything like that, there's steps and protocols in place that a citizen can call and complain, right, on the officer and say, hey, he said this to me or did this to me, I didn't appreciate that, whatnot, right? I think 99% of the departments nowadays, we have body cameras, right? So the entire interaction from start to finish is gonna be recorded, right? So if the officer did wrong, right, then they'll be dealt with accordingly, right? We have, each police department has internal affairs division, different things like that, to make sure we, keep ourselves in line and in check, right? Because we're not above the law, right? We have to enforce law, but we're not above the law, right? So at the end of the day, it's, I tell people, even if you get a ticket and you think you're innocent or you claim innocence, that's totally fine. By you signing that citation, it does not mean you're guilty. It just means that you receive a copy of the citation and you promise to take care of it, whether it's trial by jury, trial by judge, or however you want to do it. But arguing on the side of the road, it's not going to help anybody else out. there's time and place for everything.
That's what I think I want people to hear. If you're innocent, signing the ticket does not an admission of guilt. So it makes communication better if you'll cooperate, if you'll sign the ticket, and then, like you said, complain because you have avenues to do so. Go ahead, Shiloh.
Yeah,
If
sure.
you've got time for one or two quick.
Yeah. So, can you guys quickly tell us about your community engagement unit program?
Yeah, our community engagement unit is a fairly new unit we've had for a couple of years now, but we're really getting into the meat and potatoes of the unit as far as going out into community and basically just listening. How do we proactively listen to the community that we're serving to make things better? Make things either better in the community or make things better for our profession. You know, fighting those stereotypes of, you know, we're all RoboCops or whatever. Letting people know what we're doing as a department to make their city better. What initiatives are we taking? How do traffic stops happen? You know, what we're doing right now, we're having a public podcast, you know?
Right.
Those are the initiatives that we're taking as a unit to make sure, kind of look outside the box and what we're used to. Yeah, we got a good neighborhood police officer program. We have good school initiative resource officers that are out there. But what do we do a little bit better, or what can we do a little bit better to make sure that people understand that they do have those outlets or those avenues to communicate to us?
Right.
We're not in a metal box where people can't reach us, and being in this unit kind of gives us that opportunity to get out there.
For sure. So, I guess our last question of the day for you guys is, what message would you, or what advice would you maybe give to a young person who maybe is considering going into this type of career path?
I'd say go for it. It's fun, it's rewarding. You know, you put your own ticket, you get what you put into it at the end of the day, right? I'm blessed to be in this unit where, you know, every day, you know, you can make a difference, no matter how big or how small it's in someone's life. But it's very rewarding in my opinion. It's not a job. I think it's more of a calling, I think. It's not for everybody, but I wouldn't do anything else. I can't see myself doing anything else in life. It's fun, it's exciting. Something different every day, and you know, whatever police department, you know, is associated to your city or whatnot, you know, go out there and talk to your officers, you know, ask them for advice, ask them for help. Most you know, medium and large size departments, you know, have different programs where youth can, you know, kind of get in the door and see what it's about, see what it's not about, you know. So if anything, more power to them.
Yeah, and I'll say the same thing, go for it. You know, if I can do it, you can definitely do it.
Yeah.
If I can pull 25 years into this, and then somebody can do it as well. And it does well. You know, we do well for our profession. The city of Fort Worth does take care of us, and our officers do get paid pretty good when it comes to the job that we do for longevity, right? And you can raise a family, you can, you know, get a good career path, and whatever you want to do, and we'll provide that. So it's pretty good. Go for it.
Nice.
Very nice. And I would just add to that, if a person is interested in contacting, you know, the community engagement division, how can they do that?
We have an email. It's community engagement unit at fortworthtexas.gov, all spelled out. So community engagement unit at fortworthtexas.gov.
Okay. Well, Officer Martinez and Officer Lopez, thank you guys for you know, coming out, spending your time with us. Thank you for sharing, because, you know, people need to know that there are units out there that are there. Your focus is to be engaged in the community, where you diminish fear, you increase communication, increase awareness. You know, so there's people just need to know that helps to beat those stigmas that we were talking about earlier. So thank you for coming in and sharing, and because what you do a very, very critical job. And for anyone that thinks that they might be interested, you know, reach out to the community engagement division. They'll explain more about what it takes to become a police officer, and maybe an early path that will help you succeed, getting involved in a PAL league or any of the other things that youth can get involved in, where they can get 1 or 2 points maybe towards a career. You know, any career you're going to go into, it helps to. And the nice thing about social media is that you can always reach out, you can join groups, you can find out a lot about a career now through social media, which is, you know, one of the good things.
And we are hiring. We're definitely hiring. Right now, we're in the middle of that hiring process, recruitment process.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for thank you guys, yeah, for coming out and sharing this. Shiloh, I'm going to go ahead and let you take us home.
Yes, sir. as me and Mr. Stewart always say, take time to love yourself because it will be that much easier to love somebody else. Do see you guys back here next week, same time, same channel. See ya.
Take care.
Go out there.
Okay, here we're at outro. It should be outro.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
Enjoy it.
My flash drive's right
Thank you
there.
very much. Thank you.
Right here.
Getting more used to this stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta have an appointment.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
I wanna take those pictures around here.
Yes.
Yeah, you know where it goes?
Okay, what up?
Over there it goes.
Yeah, I wanna get y'all,
Okay. Okay, that's over the podcast. Right here.